Hello, hello. Welcome to Purposeful Productivity. I'm Florence, and we are back here again. We're going to talk about some changes and some software that we've talked about before. So glad to have you in the building with me this evening. If I look a little strange and the lights are adjusting, that's because I'm trying to figure out how to make my new fancy Godox lights work and look okay. So I'm not really sure how this is going, but we're going to roll with it. Live happens and I'm learning every day. Today we're going to talk about a software that's familiar and yet unfamiliar. And this came up because I accidentally ran across the way the feature is working when I was working on some volunteer work. I'm using the word work a lot, but when I was collaborating with somebody in volunteer, actually in ministry, and we used the Google ecosystem in ministry, and I was really kind of blown away with the way Google is making changes in their ecosystem. They're evolving and adding features that are subtle but powerful, and they are quite useful to us. And I want to make sure that those things we do and use that are familiar to us, we use them in a way that is also beneficial to us. So today we're going to dig into a little bit into the Google ecosystem. Actually, let me just share this whole month is going to be around the Google ecosystem and different parts of it, and then ultimately tying it together to make one cohesive productivity system for you to use in your work. I'm really sold on helping people, helping you, my audience, my viewer, find and use tools and systems, meaning processes that work for you the way you work, using tools you're familiar with. I can introduce all kind of new tools and they all work, but let's focus initially on things that we already have and perhaps pieces of we're familiar with and other pieces we're not familiar with. So let's just say hi to some of you folks who are out here in the building with us this evening. I want to start with Walter Strong from the Huddle with Walter Strong. Good evening, Walter. Glad to have you. And then we're going to go to Miss Gretchen. Hi. Efficient question mark. Oh, not always in my vocabulary. I love it. Thank you. Well, sometimes we struggle with that a little bit. I do too. I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. Then I'm going to say hello, hello, hello to the Emotional CEO. So glad to have you out there. And also to Frank Jackson, two of my moderators, and reminding me to say hello to the live tribe. And if you're watching and you're not yet commenting, it's okay. I understand that sometimes we're just simply in a place where we can listen, but we can't communicate or share in the chat. So welcome to the live tribe. So glad to have you here with us this evening. And hopefully we'll have a little fun. I'm going to do the great attempt at using the Ecamm software that I use for all of my live streams and all of my recordings, and really my virtual meetings that I use for ministry, for volunteer service, just in my life. And I'm going to try to do a screen share, and y'all just pray that it goes well. Sometimes I struggle a little bit in that area, but it's okay. It is okay. So tonight we're going to talk about optimizing our productivities with the new Google Task feature. And I say new Google Task feature because they have added this, and it's been a little while and I've been using it some. I'm going to use a demo. So to set you up, I'm going to use a demo account. I've removed almost everything out of the demo account so we can work almost from scratch. So you can see like as close to a clean slate as I could make it, so it's not full of stuff that I've already put in there. So I use a demo account, but I'm going to use it in a way and share it in a way that I often do. Somebody tell me about this earthquake. I'm seeing something about an earthquake. Y'all talk to me. Talk back to me. Make sure my friend is okay. Um, and so we're going to get right into it. The first thing I'm going to talk about is how to access Google Tasks. And that may sound a little elementary, but the reason I want to talk about how to access Google Tasks is because there are multiple ways to get into Google Tasks. And I want to share some of those ways with you. And I will then go into it. So the first way is to go to your, and I'm going to use the browser. I'm not using the Google app on your phone, and I'm not using the Google app downloaded to your computer. I'm using the Google environment in the browser. So let's set that as a parameter as well. This will be a little bit different if you're using it on your phone. And I actually would like to know if you would like to see how this stuff works on a mobile device like your phone or your iPad. Let me know. I don't use Android devices, so I can't show you on an Android, but I can certainly show you on iPhone or an iPad. But I'm not using those. Okay. Listening while I'm loading the van for an art fair tomorrow. Absolutely. Yes, that counts. And I don't know how you're loading the van and you're also commenting. Woman of many talents. I love it, Gretchen. So the first way, thank you for letting me know. Little off kilter today. Earthquake just kind of messed my brain up. But the first way is go into your browser, whatever you use. Chrome, Safari, Arc, Edge, any of those browsers that you use, and just simply in the URL bar where you would type www, just type task, the word task, TASK .google.com, and that will take you directly to the task application. For those who may traditionally, if you will, get into all Google Tasks by going to Gmail and then using the application launcher, a secret with Google is to get directly to an application. You can always type the name of the application .google.com and it'll take you directly to that application, and that's one less step. That's one of those micro efficiencies. While visually, it's not easier from a time and how long it takes you to get to the application you want to get to. Using the direct link to the application is an easy way to get there. So again, go into your browser, go to task.google.com. It'll take you directly to the application. So let's just go in to the application. And so I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so it hopefully easier for you to see. If it's big enough for you to see, let me know, because I'm trying to make it, I got some feedback that it was a little difficult to read some of the text. So up here in the URL bar, it's where you would just type task.google.com and it'll take you directly to the task view. If you have a question, before we go much further, if you have a question, please ask. Also add your thoughts, your comment, your feedback, how this is resonating with you, and use cases that you can identify that you can use it for. If there are new links like the task, I'll put them in the description. And of course, if you are not a subscriber to the channel and you haven't liked it, please subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment afterwards if you're watching the replay, and like the video so we can get the word out to more people. So let's go back to the screen. The other way that you can get to task, and these I'm going to show you, is up here in the upper right. If you can, hopefully you can see my mouse. I'm going to try to make it bigger. In the upper right, next to the app launcher, this little checkerboard is another set of icons. The circle with the check mark is the task application. The one right next to it, the little calendar, is the Google Calendar application. So if you're in the calendar application, what you can do to to get to task is click on, you can click to the right and click on the little icon for task, and it'll take you directly into the task application. This is a new navigation, relatively new, and it is, again, one of those micro efficiencies that may not seem like, why would it even matter? Because it's fewer steps and fewer clicks to get to where you want to get to, in this case, into the task application. The other way to get to the task application is I'm going to go to Gmail, which is the way you used to be able to get to task. This was the original way to get to task, and that was I cleaned out everything. This is my demo account, so I cleaned out everything. You don't see anything here. But over here in the right-hand bar, you would see a set of icons. Right below your avatar, in my case it's the green circle with F, is the calendar icon, the Google Keep icon, and right below that, it's real small, is the Google Task icon. For a long time, the way you would get to Google Task would be here, and it would be this little pop-out. That's all you could see. If you go back to my channel, there's actually a video where I did a workaround to get to a full screen view of task. They fixed that subsequently, and they've made it where it's already full screen and you can work with it easier. So that's the third way. First way is go to the browser if you're not already in it and just type task.google.com. The second way is if you're in the calendar already, to just click on the icon to the right of the calendar in the upper. The third way is if you're in Gmail and you want to get to it quickly, it's to click on this icon here in the little strip where the icons are. I don't know the official name of it, but that's where these icons are. So that's the other way. I personally like being in full screen. So this is the full screen view of task. Much easier. You can see it. You can work with it than that little pop-out tray. So I'm going to go out here and see if there are any questions before I move on. Let's see if there are questions. Well, I'm going to say hello to someone who has joined us. Hello, Mr. Ibrahim. Nice to see you in the building this evening. We're doing a little bit of a tutorial style. Ibrahim is part of our M3 Live Tribe, our morning crew. So glad to see you in the building with us. So we now know how to get in. The next is understanding, the second tip is understanding the task user interface, where things are, how to navigate. And I'm going to, for this portion and the rest of it, I'm going to use that full screen view. I'm not going to use that little pop-out tray. But how to navigate and get around in the user interface, because moving around in the interface is important so that you don't think I only have one thing I can do. It's actually pretty sophisticated what you can do with it. So let's move on, go back to the demo. We're in task. So a couple things I want to show you. Number one, you have list, and I've changed this list. When you first loaded, this first list is your default. You cannot delete it, and it's named task. I renamed it to landing zone. So you can rename it, however, to whatever you want. Then you can create a new list just clicking the plus sign. You can also click this gear, which is settings, and it'll bring you to keyboard shortcuts. I love keyboard shortcuts. The other reason I like them is if you use something like the Stream Deck, you can set up the shortcuts on the Stream Deck as well. and have quick access to them. So the settings will give you all of the various keyboard shortcuts that you can use in Task. There are quite a number of them. I would encourage you, when you get an opportunity, just go look at them, right? Just go look at them. And I use a Mac, so the icons that you see are like regular Mac things. If you're using a Windows computer, they're going to represent the way they'll look on a Windows computer. Indent on a Mac is always the command key in the right bracket. Outdent is the command key in the left bracket. And so that's the way that works. You can see all tasks. You can also start task and go to those. Right here on the task on the list is 3 dots. Almost every application has them. It's an overflow menu. If you click it, it gives you other options. You can sort by the order that you want. You can sort by the date. You can sort by recently starred task. You can rename the list. So if I want to rename this to my list and just click done, it changed it over here in the left-hand column. It changed it here at the top of the list name, and it changed it in those 2 places. And if you go back into the other view with either the Gmail view, this new name will be there. You can also print the list. Now notice, delete task is grayed out. Delete list is grayed out. That's because I only have this one list. It's the default list, and you're unable to delete the default list. You can change the name. You can change what you put in it, but you cannot delete it. So if you've ever heard me, oftentimes I'll name that inbox, because that's the landing place, which is why I said landing zone. It's the landing place where if you don't designate another list, every task you enter into Google Task will automatically go into the inbox, which is also the default task list. So you can also add new task right here by clicking Add Task. You can check the box and complete task. That's the interface, and you can see down here at the bottom I've got 3 completed tasks, and I can open it up and see what they are. I personally like being able to see what I've completed in the tools that I use, so to me that's a plus. Okay, do we have questions? I'm going to check and see if anyone has a question real quick. Let me just do a Q colon here and see if anybody has asked a question. No one has asked a question. All right, we're going to keep moving. The next piece is adding task, and there are a multitude of ways to add task. I've shared one, and that is if you're in the task application, you can simply click that add a task option on the interface and type in the task. There are other ways, however, to add a task, and I want to share a couple of them with you, because this was what I'm about to share with you is what I ran into that really resonated with me. Let's go back to the demo. Let's say I'm in the calendar and I schedule an appointment. I'm going to schedule an event, and I'm just going to say my event, and I am going, I'm scheduling an event, but I decide, oh, I want to schedule a task. I can click right here, add a task, and now instead of my event, I can say my new task, add a description, I can set a due date, I can set it as a repeat or non-repeat and click save, and I have now added a new task to the task list. So if you're in your calendar, you can add tasks to your task list. And notice I only have one list. It automatically went on the inbox. That's one way. Another way is if you, and I'm going to have to give myself an email here to do this. By the way, if you send an email to this email address, it's just going to get deleted because this is a demo account and it doesn't get used for anything. So it's okay with me if you see it. Do this thing. I'm just going to email myself just so I have something in here. But if I'm in email and I want to turn it into a task, I can simply hover over it, and I got to make sure I see it. And I'm reading and I say, oh, this is something I need to do. Click the task icon right above the message and it adds it to the task list. So if you are a Google user and you use the browser and you get a lot of tasks and to-dos in email, this is a great way to add tasks right while you're processing your email and get it on your task list right in Google Task. So that's another way you can do it. Another way that you can do it, and I'm going to have to do this way. I'm going to go to a Google Doc, and I hope this goes. Yeah, I'm just going to make a blank document here and just say task from a document. If I'm in a document and I want to assign myself a task, I can, let's see if I do this right here. Of course I'm doing it wrong just because I'm trying to demo it. If I wasn't trying to demo it, I would just go right to it. Let me think here for a second. Life happens, y'all. When I'm not trying to do it, I do it immediately. No, that's not it. Help. Yeah, I'm in the right place. Where is my icon? Hold on. I literally do this every week in my other meeting, and for some reason, I'm not able to do it today. I don't want to move it. Okay, my brain just went to sleep, y'all. My brain literally went to sleep because it's like, you do this and now I can't remember. Oh my gosh, embarrassing. Maybe they don't want to connect with me because right now I can't remember what I do. Something that I do every week. Let me think. No. Oh, wait a minute. Add task. There it is. Add task from, is this it? Yeah. Add task from a document. Add task from a document and click OK. And that will also add it to your task list. I had to think for a minute. So add a task from a document. I think that did it. So let me go back to no, that created a new document. Okay. Embarrassing. Something I do without thinking every week, and all of a sudden my brain doesn't want to remember the keystrokes. No. I don't want to do that. There is a way to do this. I tell you what, instead of me taking more of your time, I will record that little piece when I'm doing it again and then I'll post it for you because you can't do it without all this nonsense that I'm going through. That was one of the power moves that I really, really liked. That caught my attention. Let me try one other thing. If I do this and no, and I just showed my main email account, so I'm gonna have to blur that out anyway. Um, you can do this, I promise, but I can't remember right now. My brain went to sleep. But you can add it from a document, which was one of the things that excited me. So typing it directly in, adding it from your calendar, adding it from a document, and I will remember that. I promise. Also, let's see. Thank you, Gretchen. Thank you. Somebody who feels for me, who says I'm making the rest of y'all feel normal. It happens to the best of us. I'm going to put this up here because this is my savior today. Thank you. You're just making all the rest of us feel normal. It happens. I don't know about you. I know you are a master photographer. There are sometimes when my brain, I just do it. My hands have remembered what to do and I just do it, and then I go to show somebody and I just like cannot for the life of me think, what am I doing? Because I'm having to think about it instead of just doing it. And again, like I said, I have a meeting every week. It's a ministry meeting, and I literally do this, add task during that meeting in the middle of our agenda because we use a Google Doc for the meeting agenda. And as we're saying we're going to do things, we add tasks to a task list all the time. Why right now my brain doesn't want to remember what it is? It decided to go somewhere and not come back. I can't tell you. Forgive me for not being perfect. There you go. I don't know. It's okay though. It is okay. But you really can, because I know, and the reason I can say it without a doubt is because I do it. That is the key. I do it all the time. So those are ways to get it in and get task into Google Task. Your email, if you use Gmail, especially if you're in the browser, it's a great way to corral all of those to-dos, should-dos, want-to-do, reminders, get back tos, and just put it in your task list. And again, if you don't designate a list, well, we're going to add some lists, it'll go into that default list and you can track it. So let's create a little bit of a workflow. And this is something, these workflows is something that I like because you can not just see tasks in the task view, you can also see them in the Kanban view. And the Kanban view is a really good way to set up a workflow that you can move a series of activities through. This is really useful when you have a common set of activities that go through a work process. And that's what I want to show, hopefully without losing my mind, and I can remember exactly what I'm doing when I do this. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the demo and I'm going to create a list. The first one, I'm going to create a list that's called research, if I can write. And the example I'm going to use is writing a newsletter. And I'm going to say writing, and I'm going to say graphics or images. And then we're going to edit that newsletter. And then we're going to publish it. Okay, those are our steps in our workflow. Our steps are, we're going to do, I had to scroll out so you could see it. We're going to do some research. See how it just made the columns. We're going to do some research. we're going to write, we're going to get our images together, we're going to edit what we're written, and then we're going to publish. That's our workflow. So in Google Task, you don't have to just have a column of tasks. You can build out a workflow of something that you do regularly. So let's say we have blog article 1, and I can't type, blog article 2, and blog article 3. So minus Florence's typos, because she can't type, I'm just going to leave the typos in there. Okay, we're going to be researching 1, we're going to be writing 2, and we're going to be getting images for, I'm going to move this over. This has got to move this over to the right for 3. So you can literally have different articles, different graphics, different projects, different videos, different podcasts in various stages. And you can keep track of them in this workflow in Google Task so that you know, okay, I'm writing this one or these 2 or 3. I'm getting images for this one, and I've gotten the images. Now I'm going to move this one because it's ready for me to edit it. So now I'm editing, and this one I'm going to got this other one over here, the first one, and I don't need, you can interface, I can move it just by clicking on the 3 dots. I don't have to drag. I can say this one I'm ready to publish. This one I need to do some research, so I'm going to move it back to research. So you can move those steps around within Google Task. This is very powerful. It's simple. You already have it. You can use it very quickly. You can get to it. You can put the Google Task app on your mobile device and still get to it. You can get to it from your browser. It's not dependent on anything else, and you don't have to buy another piece of software. You also saw, minus Florence's bad typing, you can add details in. These are the details. And you can set a due date. You can delete it. You can add a new task. You can also add a subtask. This is my subtask. So if you have in your research phase, you've got 2 or 3 or 4 sub things that you do, you can add subtasks in here, write details around them, and just check off the subtask as they're getting done. And when all of the subtasks are complete, you know you're ready to move on to the next step in your process. So that's an easy way, a quick way to build a workflow using Google Task. Simply think about what your phases are or your steps are. Make a list for each major step. And then I used blog articles. You can use whatever. And then you can move those through the process and keep track of where each one is throughout the days, the weeks, the months, the quarters. And it works quite effectively. This process of using these tables is really efficient, and it gives you a bird's eye view. If you've ever used something like Trello, it's very akin to it. If you've used the Kanban view in Notion, it's similar. Anything that uses that column format, this is very similar. The beauty of it, however, is it's in a tool that many of us already have access to. We don't have to jump out of a tool that we use into something else. And it's quick. You've got multiple ways to get tasks into the tool. So, does anyone else have questions before we get out of here? Does anyone have questions? Let me know if this resonated with you, if it made sense and if it was helpful to you, if you could see and visualize for yourself a way to use this tool just to manage a workflow or a set of common tasks that you do all the time. You all have been a little quiet today, so I'm just want to make sure I give you an opportunity to answer questions. And I like this because sometimes I don't need a heavy application to do something. And so if I'm thinking through, this is an easy way to do it before I do the whole build my automated, complicated project workflow. I've found that this is an easy way to just kind of get started and flesh out what I'm thinking. And again, sometimes I just need to be able to throw the stuff someplace and come back to it, use it that. And as I said, for me, every week I'm working with someone else and we use this plus some other things I'm going to show you later on in the month to manage our collaboration. And so it works well because the person is already familiar with Google. And when I showed it to them, it worked for us. So I'm going to check and see if anyone has questions and any other comments. I don't see any. So I'm going to wrap it up then. I'm going to just say to you all, thank you for watching. Hit the like button. Give me a thumbs up. Let's get at it this week and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Good night, everybody. Well, if I can figure out how to close.